shoot moment where you realized you've been doing something the wrong way for years. I owned a light blue colored microwave for about 3 years that a family member gave me for a housewarming gift. Thought it was cool, never saw a blue microwave before. One night, a buddy asked why I never took the blue plastic wrap off my microwave, then proceeded to peel it off for me. Damn, that bitch is silver. Still miss my blue microwave sometimes though. My parents did this too. In-laws did this. Just built their forever home and called to say it's amazing, but our dishwasher is blue. What are you sure it's not covered in a protective wrapper? After moving to a new city, I went to the laundromat and the Korean lady working was yelling at me about something I couldn't understand. After some pantomime it became clear that she was upset I was putting in the wrong detergent, but it was the same kind I have been using for 8 years since moving away to college and behind. Turns out I've been washing my clothes with only fabric softener for nearly a decade. They always smelled good, so I never really thought about it. Not my proudest moment. I'll pour one out for the absorbency of all of your towels. Wait, does fabric softener reduce towel absorbency or just the lack of actual detergent? My family always had a cup next to the bathroom sink in case you needed to rinse your mouth after brushing your teeth or maybe get a quick drink of water in the middle of the night. My grandma had the same cup at her house. I used it for years whenever I was thirsty. One day she saw me doing this and said, "Don't use that cup. That's where grandma puts her teeth." When I was a kid, I was told that the paper that came on cupcakes/muffins was edible. I would spend a decade eating them like this, paper and all, until a friend pointed it out. I would be so terrified of you if I saw you do this. This is the first comment in this thread that's had me laughing out loud for about 30 seconds. Thank you for that. Did you see that? That guy just ate a cupcake with the paper still on it, candle lit and all in one bite. Travel frequently for work and only just noticed that most laptop bags have a strap to place over a rolling suitcase handle. That's what that freaking thing is for. I would probably look like Megamind if I learnt as much in school as I do on this app. I taught myself how to play clarinet. 6 months later someone told me that I'd been playing with the mouthpiece upside down. Orchestral clarinetist here. You're some kind of wizard for making that work, and I have much respect for you. Will it be easier/sound better for op now that he/she knows? I used to fill the kettle by the spout. My parents have always done it this way. I thought the center part was mainly for decoration, but not functional. I don't know why I never questioned this. One day I bought a new tea kettle and my husband was like, "WTF, what is inside this?" and with great ease opened the center to pull out a manual with instructions and whatnot. I was drinking dirty paper water for like 2 weeks. Okay, but why did your parents do this in the first place? Ugh, I don't know, maybe I should tell them. I used to pull my pants down all the way at the urinal. I've seen this as an adult in the workforce as a programmer. I weep for our prospects. Found out I was lighting incense wrong. Boyfriend and I got a bunch to add to our collection of nice smells and we would light them and they would just start a little inferno. Convinced we were buying cheap, garbage incense, we stopped using them. I proceed to buy a different brand in a hope those would work. I test light and same thing, it just goes up in an inferno. Rumor informs us you are supposed to blow them out once they catch. Oops. Hahaha, this is the best answer here. I love this. Darn cheap sticks. Just made another inferno. Lol, I agree. I love this one. So cute, picturing them like honey. It happened again. Started another darn inferno. I always thought eggplant tasted itchy, like itchy was a flavor, like sour or salty. Fed some to my baby and his face turned red wherever the eggplant touched, and I realized we are both just allergic to eggplant. And itchy isn't a flavor. I lol that itchy isn't a flavor. The worst part is now I want to taste something itchy. One day I used the key fob to remotely start my dad's car. It was a no crap moment for him. 2 years and he didn't realize he had this handy little function. My dad bought an aftermarket remote start and took it in to get installed. When he went to pick it up, they asked him what was wrong with the factory one. One day I accidentally hit a button on my extra key fob in my new, to me, car and it started. I was baffled. Then when I went in and tried to put the keys in and hit the brake. It turned off. I sat there for a few minutes trying to figure out what was wrong. Then it hit me. I have a remote starter. I owned a car with swivel headlights and it was very nice to have that. Discovered 3 years in that I had never turned on the swivel feature. Oh man, I thought the ACK button in my car, Snowflake, was defrost, so I never used it in summer. Frick, did I feel dumb 2 years. Did you think you had a busted ACK and decide not to try getting it fixed? Or do you just live somewhere that you were fine with just the fan blowing ambient temperature air at you? I didn't find out that I was supposed to punch out for lunch until my 3rd job. And even then it was because a coworker mentioned it in passing that they were clocking out for lunch. That's freaking awesome. I cannot believe none of your bosses did not ever say anything to you. At my first and only full-time job I've had, they didn't require you to clock out for lunch. They said they just docked 30 minutes off your pay so that you would have more time to get out to the break room and eat, instead of everyone lining up 5 minutes before lunch to try and hurry out to the break room. Cork guns. Everyone says that you're supposed to pull it towards you, but I saw a Reddit comment saying that they are designed to be pushed away instead. My boss looks at me funny for doing it, but it's exponentially cleaner and tighter. If you pull as you go, it's a struggle not to pull the cork out of the groove. By pushing you keep the cork snugly where it belongs. Jiggity. I've never had a problem with pulling it out. Jiggity. Painted houses for the better part of 10 years. Pushing it in front would probably be massively uncomfortable for me, lol. Not mine, but my dad has been spelling his name wrong his whole life. He's 51. His name is Jeffrey, and he's been spelling it like that since he learned how to spell his name. A few months ago my mom pulled out his birth certificate, and we all learned it's actually spelled Jeffrey. Not sure if he spells it correctly now, but it was definitely an oh crap moment for him. Grandfather thought his name was Harvey his whole life. Got his birth certificate at 65 and it's Harmon. My first gold. Thanks. My aunt and uncle gave my grandmother a copy of her birth certificate for her birthday. Apparently she had never had one. On her 77th birthday, she found out she was actually 78. My wife and I have this ceiling fan / light in our bedroom in the house we moved into 2 years ago. It has a remote control for the fan and lights. About a year and a half ago the lights suddenly stopped working. The fan works well, and we didn't have a ton of money, so we've just lived with lamps in the room, always being frustrated with how damn dark it is. I was scrolling some other thread on AskReddit a few weeks ago, and the top post was a guy talking about how his lights stopped working years ago, and then he found out that it was just dimmed, which you do by holding down the button on the remote. It sounded so much like our fan I went and tried it. Dimmed. Oh gosh. I remember reading that post too. If this happens I hope I remember to check that first. Living in a foreign country where I was actively learning the language. Social cues go a long way when learning a language on the spot. That being said, someone once said a phrase to me while serving a hot dish, which I assumed as meaning excuse me. After going through crowds and lines, replicating the same phrase in an attempt to be respectful of those around me, I abruptly found out that the phrase actually meant enjoy. Hindsight completely makes sense. The odd looks I would get by saying enjoy while squeezing past people all of a sudden made sense. Part of me was hoping you've been announcing that you're a hot dish while passing by people for all these years. Hot dish. Coming through. Hot dish. I'm vigorously checking this thread to make sure I'm not an idiot too. Not cause I've been doing something wrong my entire life, but saw it wrong. I'm colorblind and my entire life I thought peanut butter was green until I turned 19. And when I found out it was brown my mind was blown. It took so long because no one really talks about the color of things like that. When I was in high school I was talking to a colorblind friend asking the usual dumb questions, like what color is a green light when you're driving, and he said he knows which light is which, even though they all look gray. So I said, oh so Yoda is gray to you then? His horrified expression as he yelled, Yoda is green, was priceless. For years I would struggle to take the cap off new deodorant, the one under the lid. It always is so stuck down onto the deodorant stick. I had an aha moment a year or so ago that I could simply crank the deodorant stick up until the cap could easily be removed. I'm 34. It took me until age 34 to realize this. Oh, well, this makes all the sense in the world when you see it spelled out like that. All this time I've been biting on the little nubbin that protrudes from the plastic and pulling it off, like pulling the pin on a powder fresh hand grenade. I'm 38. Got you beat. I'm 71. Just opened a new deodorant last week with my teeth. Duh. Till. Huh. When I first got a debit card and would go out to eat at restaurants with my friends, I would leave a cash tip on the table. When I got the receipt to put how much I was paying, I would write down how much money I left on the table. For at least 6 months I gave double tips to every waitress I had. I did this to a pizza guy once. I gave him a cash tip, and when he gave me the receipt to sign I put down how much cash tip I gave him. He told me, "Whoa, you're giving me more." I was like, "Is that not how it works?" He said he'd correct it for me once he got back to the store. I felt pretty embarrassed. Why didn't he just give you back the cash? My mom refused to show me how to use a tampon because she thought I should stick to pads because they were safer. This was back when googling how to do things wasn't an option, and I was the first in my friend group to get my period and a little sheepish about it. So basically I was shoving that sucker up there with the entire applicator for like 2 years, wondering why tampons didn't seem to work that well for me. It wasn't until I was in high school and one of my friends went on a crusade against plastic waste and started advocating for tampons with no applicators that all of a sudden I realized I had massively fricked up. Same here, and it pinched so freaking bad if you sat down wrong. I'm so glad I'm not alone. Former school nurse here. The number of high school boys who don't know what circumcision is amazingly high. Many think they were born circumcised. When they finally see a foreskin, they are in complete awe. When they find out the brown ring on their penis is a scar from when their foreskin was removed, they are also amazed. Wow. Username checks out. My mom has been pronouncing Massachusetts Massacraps for years and no one corrected her because they thought she just had strong feelings about Massachusetts. My mother cannot pronounce that or Mitsubishi. She tries but same outcome and Mitsubishi comes out Mitsubishi. Is she southern? Because in Georgia, where they seemingly have their own language, it's always Mitsubishi. My name is Ryan. It took me until I was in first grade to realize my name wasn't in the alphabet. My mom had told me my name was in the alphabet, and I felt so lucky. She obviously meant the letters to spell my name were in the alphabet. But nope. It took that long to realize the alphabet didn't go W, X, Y and Z. Don't feel bad. My birthday is in July. I was under the impression, until I was 7, that the 4th of July, the fireworks, specifically, were for my birthday. I felt really dumb, but also really sad when I realized they weren't. My birthday is on the 5th, so I was in the same boat. My parents thought it was cute, so they played along with it. Well, I ended up getting in a fight with a kid on the playground over it, and came to a harsh realization, haha. Sometimes I assume I know the lyrics to songs I have heard on the radio for a long time. I always sang Toto's Africa as I miss the rains down in Africa. Until someone made fun of me and told me it's I bless the rains down in Africa. I argued, that makes no sense. Why would someone bless rain? It's a song about longing to return to Africa, which is why they miss the rain. Then I went home and looked up the lyrics. Even more fun when English isn't your first language. We found love in a homeless place. We found love in a homeless place. Figured they were boning at a homeless shelter. SS son rieboko sonike. That you do, in fact, need to disassemble your laundry dryer and clean the lint out from underneath the drum once per year. I'm 31 and never knew this. No one ever said anything. Never saw anyone do this. Crappiest thing is that my parents also learned this the hard way and never bothered to give me a tip when I bought my first dryer. Luckily, the wife and I discovered the lint build up when changing the rollers. I said to my parents, wow, it really builds up in there. And they were like, oh yeah, you need to do that like once a year. Oh my. I just found the thing I didn't know either. My dryer has been taking longer to dry lately and now I'm thinking that might be why. For me, I would clean my lint trap after every time I used it, but my dryer was taking longer. Turns out I had to scrub my lint trap because it was getting covered with a film from my dryer sheets. So I had always assumed that gas stations had pipes that led to a nearby oil plant or something. I live in Houston, so during Hurricane Harvey in 2017 there was so much news about the gas stations being empty because they weren't being filled. I was in the car with my sisters and we were talking about it, and I mentioned I don't understand how the gas supply was limited when the pipes are underground and not affected by the flooding. They both looked at me with the most confused faces ever, and one of them said, "You do know that trucks come to fill up gas stations, right?" And I was completely shook by this and had no idea, and they asked me, "So, when you see the big trucks at little gas stations in the city with the tubes in the ground, what do you think they were doing?" And I replied, "Filling up their gas." Not something I did wrong, but definitely something I thought wrong for 17 years. Well, this was a few years ago. I was the director of it for a very large company. I was given a new cell phone and told to set up my voicemail. I don't know that when I recorded my name it would be played to whomever I leave a voicemail for. Well, the name I recorded was Dada84 Corporate It God. I worked there for 4 years until someone in the hallway referred to me as the Corporate It Godee. I was so embarrassed. Since the dawn of time, I would pick up the silverware and utensils out of their tray in the dishwasher and put them away in their drawers, then go back and pick up more out of the dishwasher. Then one day I saw my wife lift the tray out of the dishwasher and I legit stood there with my mouth open. God damn it. I knew that thing moved because I've removed it and changed it around to make pans or big dishes fit better, and I've still been going back and forth for the silverware. Mine routinely shifts and comes out as I'm trying to pull the silverware out if there's too much in it, and my idiot response is to get mad and shove it back into place instead of realizing the universe is trying to show me something. Not wrong for years, but I work help desk and we use a specific, terrible piece of software for our support system, IBM Notes. It turns out that for the first 9 months I had been working there, it wasn't set up properly, so I wasn't sending any emails from it at all. No notifications that the ticket went to me, no responses from me, no close notifications, nothing. Someone noticed this, took a look, and fixed a setting. I immediately sent out over 1,000 emails to everyone in the company. You work in it and managed to keep your job without sending emails for 9 months. That's impressive. This is insane to me. My boss gets on me if he doesn't see me send enough emails in a day. I didn't realize I had to brush the back of my teeth as well as the front. I was a dumb kid. I blamed toothpaste adverts until I was 15. Had 9 filings and a root canal. Same. Embarrassingly enough, I thought you brushed your teeth to keep them white. I didn't know anything about keeping them healthy, so I thought, I don't mind if my back teeth are yellow. Nobody's going to see them anyway. This is a fail on your parents, pediatrician / pediatric nurse and dentist / hygienist, and not on you. When I realized, at 18, that the phrase is up, and at M not up and Adam, I was always wondering who the hell Adam was. Thought it was a stupid phrase. Up and at them. No, it's up and at 'em. No one really ever told me you don't need to buy shoes with the 2 fingers space in front of the toes after your feet stop growing. I had been buying an entire size too big until about age 23. One day in college I decided to try a pair of Merrell barefoot type shoes, and after reading the sizing guide, bam. Mind blown. It's terribly obvious mistake I, 29F, like to blame on being an only child. But really I'm just a freaking moron. I had this problem until about 25. Never really thought about it. I was always a size 10. That's what mom bought me in high school. Why would it be any different now? Only thing is, I stopped growing at 14. Never had another growth spurt. As guys, we were always told you'll keep growing till late teens. Early 20s for some. Yeah, that didn't happen for me. Luckily I was buying a pair of nice boots and the clerk was like, dude, there's no way you're a size 10. You're barely a size 9. I was so happy once the blisters I'd always dealt with went away. Dude, me too. I was one of the biggest kids in my class in 8th grade, and then everyone kept growing except me. I'm 31 and have a shirt from when I was 10 that still fits me. I used to think just reading the material was how everyone studied, so that's how I did it too. I never quite understood why my grades were so low. It is like I read the page, IDK what happened, until I saw my friend making flowcharts and summaries, and I was like, we don't have to do that, you know, and he was like, nah, I'm just studying. It blew my mind how much better my grades got. Edit, bet you thought you were real original coming up with that username joke, huh? Bet you thought it never heard it before, huh? Well, who's not smart now? Still me. Okay, yeah, I'll go home, sorry. Looking back on it, I was never really taught how to study. I don't think a lot of people were, and for some people it's instinctual, but it isn't for everyone. Schools should hold a course on various methods of studying. I'm learning it properly now for the first time as a mature student returning to university. FML. Pro tip. Testing yourself is by far the best way to enhance long-term recall. Think cue cards and mock exams. Even better when they are open-ended questions like, explain the 7 sins of memory, and you have to name and explain each one without notes in front of you. Do that once, and you'll probably get over 90% on your exams. Winding a watch that was battery powered for like a year. Ah, frick. Thanks for making me think of that. What did you even do? What part is there to wind? Did you just turn it backwards 12 hours or something? Old watches were spring powered, not battery powered. Winding them would tighten the spring. My grandfather wound his watch. My parents got teenage me a watch. I regularly turned the little knob that one uses to adjust the time/date without pulling it out. It does nothing when you don't pull it out. One day I was with my friends and we were talking about almonds, but when I said the word they all looked at me funny and apparently I say it wrong. They say it to where it almost sounds like they say owl. So almond, but I say it like the name Al. So I say it almond with a more pronounced er. They thought this was hilarious, especially since I was with my twin sister and she doesn't say it like me. Edit, they say it like almond. Almond is definitely wrong. Right? It's almond. From as young as I knew the word backpack, until about maybe the 5th grade, I called them packpacks. Being someone who learned most of his vocabulary from reading books, I didn't learn the actual pronunciation of the word apropos until I was in my 30s. Edit, holy cow, I sit down to watch one episode of Farscape and eat dinner before bed and come back for 45 comments. Edit, as of edit 1, 19 more comments. Apropos for those curious. Not really exactly what you're looking for, but a few months ago I figured out Childish Gambino and Donald Glover are the same person. Definitely an oh crap moment considering I'm a fan of both Donald and Childish Gambino for a while before that. I used to get confused on here when I thought people were saying he was Danny Glover, the old black dude from Lethal Weapon,